Close your eyes for a moment and try to imagine yourself standing right in the middle of a colossal, bustling supermarket in the United Kingdom on a busy afternoon. The bright fluorescent lights cast their glow down upon endless aisles, illuminating hundreds of different loaves of bread. The air carries that distinct, comforting aroma of yeast, baked wheat, and the hurried energy of eager shoppers. Standing before the bakery counter, you reach out your left hand and pick up a premium branded wholemeal loaf. Its packaging exquisitely designed with a rustic, vintage typeface that makes you feel as though it was just pulled from an artisan oven in the deep countryside. In your right hand, you hold a supermarket own label loaf wrapped in simple, unpretentious plastic, boasting a surprisingly cheap price tag of merely 75 pence. In that exact moment, an incredibly familiar and powerful psychological assumption springs to mind. Surely the expensive loaf must be infinitely better for your health. Its ingredients must be purer, its flour of a superior grade, and most importantly, it must contain a far greater abundance of fiber to protect your family's digestive system. We have always been conditioned to believe that you get what you pay for, and in the food industry, an expensive price tag is often implicitly understood as a golden ticket to good health. But what if I told you that the moment you turn both of those bags over and cast a scrutinizing eye over the tiny numbers sitting modestly within the nutritional information panels, that entire belief system would completely collapse? Welcome to the deep dive investigation of Basket Verdict. Today, we are going to tear down those false preconceptions, strip away the illusions of pricing, and honor the hidden truths using undeniable factual data. We are putting 9 brands of wholemeal bread, loaves that proudly print the word wholemeal in massive letters on their packaging, that currently dominate the shelves across the UK to the ultimate test. The core question we are asking is not to judge whether a single slice of bread will make you gain weight, nor is it to spread the baseless fear that industrial bread is somehow toxic. Our question is much narrower, far sharper, and infinitely more practical. If dietary fiber is the most important reason, the primary driving force that compels you to reach for a wholemeal loaf instead of a white one, then exactly which loaf on that supermarket shelf truly delivers the most abundant amount of fiber for every single penny you spend? Let us take a quick glance at an astonishing reality drawn from our analytical data. The wholemeal loaf from the prestigious supermarket chain Marks & Spencer provides 6.2 grams of fiber per 100 grams. Meanwhile, the Village Bakery wholemeal loaf from the budget supermarket Aldi proudly delivers a staggering 7.9 grams of fiber. Both of these loaves are entirely legally compliant, passing the strict regulatory threshold to be officially heralded as high-fiber foods. However, the difference in their levels, in the exact way they cross that finish line, is a monumental gap. And what creates the biggest shock of all here? The loaf that provides the highest, most abundant amount of fiber in this entire investigation is absolutely not a product from an expensive brand or a premium, health-focused label. It is, in fact, one of the absolute cheapest supermarket loaves you could possibly find. By the end of this journey, you will hold the power of truth in your hands. You will know exactly which loaf merely scrapes past the minimum legal requirement, which loaf delivers the most outstanding fiber value per pound spent, and why the habit of comparing fiber per slice is one of the most disastrous mistakes consumers regularly make. But before we delve deeply into dissecting and ranking each loaf, we must expose and neutralize the 3 most sophisticated linguistic traps, the snares laid out on labels designed to manipulate your perception. The first trap, and also the most common, is the illusion of color. Brown bread does not automatically mean wholemeal bread. To the naked eye, you might see an appealingly dark brown loaf that looks wonderfully rustic and wholesome. But that brown color can easily be achieved by mixing heavily refined white flour with malt extract, or worse, by using caramel food coloring simply to deceive your vision. On the other hand, the term wholemeal bread is not just a generic noun. It is a legally protected designation under UK law. By regulation, if a manufacturer wants to print the word wholemeal on their packaging, then absolutely 100% of the flour used in that recipe must be wholemeal flour. This means the wheat grain must be kept entirely intact with all three of its parts: the fiber-rich outer bran layer, the vitamin-packed wheat germ inside, and the starchy endosperm. Therefore, you must never let the color alone deceive you. The second trap is equally subtle. The phrase wholemeal bread does not equate to it having an extremely high fiber content. It is true that wholemeal flour, by its very nature, will provide more fiber than white flour. However, the use of the word wholemeal on the packaging only tells you about the method used to mill the wheat grain. The phrase high fiber, however, is an independent nutritional claim bound by a completely different regulatory threshold. By law, a food product is only permitted to carry a high fiber label if it can prove that it contains at least 6 grams of fiber per 100 grams of product. A loaf with 6.2 grams and a loaf with 7.9 grams are both perfectly legal in calling themselves high in fiber, but the biological value they deliver to your body is vastly different. The word wholemeal on the front is merely an introduction. The nutritional information table on the back is the binding declaration of the actual fiber packed into that loaf. The National Health Service strongly advises that adults in the UK should strive to consume around 30 grams of fiber every single day to maintain a healthy gut microbiome, support digestion, and reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Yet the majority of the population only manages to achieve between 18 and 20 grams. Whether you eat 100 grams of bread a day and receive 6 grams or 8 grams of fiber will genuinely create significantly different compounding effects for your long-term health. And the third trap is a mathematical sleight of hand. You must never compare fiber content based on a per-slice measurement. If you look at a 400-gram Warburtons loaf, the label will proudly state that it provides 1.5 grams of fiber per slice. Right next to it, an 800-gram Tesco loaf clearly states it delivers a whopping 2.5 grams of fiber per slice. By natural reflex, your brain will immediately conclude that the Tesco bread provides vastly superior fiber, almost double the amount. But what is the truth hiding behind those numbers? It absolutely does not mean that Tesco uses better flour or a superior high-fiber recipe. It happens simply because a single slice of Tesco bread is cut much larger, thicker, and heavier at the factory than a thin slice of Warburtons. When you measure using inconsistent units, you will be fooled. That is exactly why every strict and fair comparison in our investigation today must be absolutely standardized to a 100-gram measurement. Now, fully equipped with the lens of truth, let us step into the journey of examining the 6 loaves sitting from 9th to 4th place. I must clarify something incredibly important right at this moment to prevent any misunderstandings. Not a single loaf appearing in this list is fake, low quality, or deceiving the consumer. All 9 loaves we surveyed excellently surpass the legal 6-gram mark. We are not here to find a villain. We are establishing a ranking to see exactly how far these brands have pushed beyond that minimum baseline and how much money they demand you pay for that effort. Sitting in 9th place is an incredibly prestigious name, M&S Wholemeal. The Marks & Spencer brand has always been positioned in the British psyche as a symbol of quality, standard, and premium living. Yet, according to analytical data recorded in April 2026, their wholemeal loaf provides a modest 6.2 grams of fiber per 100 grams. In exchange, it boasts a very strong protein level reaching 11 grams and contains 0.98 grams of salt, alongside a very reasonable price of just about 9 pence per 100 grams. Let us analyze this 6.2 gram figure. Legally speaking, M&S wins completely. It is fully qualified and legally entitled to be called a high-fiber food. But practically speaking, it only just scrapes past the 6-gram benchmark by exactly 1/5 of a gram, an incredibly fragile margin. M&S is by no means a bad loaf of bread. On the contrary, its protein content is highly respectable, helping to keep you full for longer, and its price is brilliantly competitive given the brand's premium status. However, it reluctantly takes its final spot simply because our strict criteria today are singularly focused on finding the loaf that delivers the most abundant amount of fiber. If fiber is your sole objective, M&S only just gets you over the starting line. Rising to 8th place is a giant found in households everywhere. The Tesco Wholemeal Medium 800-gram loaf. Its current price is incredibly wallet-friendly, sitting at just about 75 pence for a massive loaf, equivalent to 0.94 pounds per kilogram. This bread delivers 6.3 grams of fiber, 10.3 grams of protein, and 0.82 grams of salt per 100 grams. Tesco here is not just a brand name, it delivers a crucial sociological lesson. High-fiber foods, things that are good for your health, do not have to be the exclusive privilege of the elite or restricted to expensive, hard-to-reach premium goods. At a rock-bottom price of just 75 pence, the current recipe of a budget-friendly supermarket like Tesco still proudly and defiantly crosses the 6-gram mark. The only drawback preventing it from climbing higher is that this 6.3-gram figure still sits near the bottom of today's fierce race. But if you consider a large family that needs toast for breakfast every day or countless sandwiches for work and school, this is an outstanding budget choice that democratizes high-fiber nutrition. Standing in 7th place is a heritage icon of Britain, Warburtons Wholemeal. The loaf wrapped in that familiar orange plastic provides 6.4 grams of fiber, 10.6 grams of protein, and 0.95 grams of salt, with a retail price hovering around 25 pence per 100 grams. Warburton's greatest strength is its incredibly solid brand positioning, its fierce commitment to using 100% wholemeal flour, and a soft bread texture loved by generations of British families. However, its painful flaw when placed on the scales lies in its practical economics. Its fiber level is only a minuscule 0.1 gram higher than the budget Tesco loaf per 100 grams, a difference your body could scarcely register. Yet the price you have to pay for the name of a major brand is several times higher. It is a reliable choice, and there is nothing to complain about regarding its quality, but it becomes very difficult to justify if you are a meticulous consumer who calculates the value of every single pound against every gram of fiber gained. You are effectively paying a loyalty tax for the brand, rather than actually buying any significantly higher amount of dietary fiber. Breaking through into 6th place is Sainsbury's Wholemeal. Providing the exact same 6.4 grams of fiber as Warburtons, the Sainsbury's loaf manages to ruthlessly dethrone its rival to claim a higher spot thanks to possessing a much smarter nutritional and pricing matrix. It contains significantly more protein, reaching 11.8 grams. Its salt content is restrained to a much lower level of just 0.77 grams. And, most importantly, it comes at a spectacularly cheaper price of only about 9 pence per 100 grams. If you were a rushed shopper who only looked at the color of the packaging, the eye-catching design, and the familiar brand name, you would accidentally overlook one of the most balanced, intelligent, and refined economic equations sitting quietly on the bakery shelf. Sainsbury's proves that you can have the same amount of fiber, more protein, less salt, and only have to pay less than half the price. Marching into 5th place is Hovis Tasty Wholemeal. Delivering 6.8 grams of fiber, 10 grams of protein, and 0.90 grams of salt, it comes with a price tag of about 19 pence per 100 grams. With that 6.8 gram figure, Hovis has truly made a commendable sprint, pulling quite far away from the legal minimum of 6 grams. It is no longer sitting in the boring safety zone. A minor drawback that must be honestly pointed out is that its sugar content is slightly higher than its competitors in this group, hitting about 4.1 grams per 100 grams. But we must be fiercely fair here. 4.1 grams of sugar does not magically turn this into a toxic, sugar-laden loaf or a sickeningly sweet dessert. Natural sugars and those added during the bread's yeast fermentation process are a normal part of baking science. It is merely a secondary factor for us to keep the full picture in view, and it does not diminish the status of an incredibly familiar, high-quality, fiber-rich choice like Hovis. And anchoring the fourth position, the strongest budget challenger before we enter the realm of the champions, Morrisons Wholemeal. Its current price thrills shoppers at just about 75 pence for a massive 800-gram loaf. It provides 6.8 grams of fiber, 10.1 grams of protein, and 0.91 grams of salt. This is a fascinating contradiction and a testament to the magic of supermarket-owned labels. Morrisons provides the exact same 6.8 grams of fiber as the major brand Hovis. Its protein and salt levels are nearly identical, yet its price is resting right on the floor. It is the perfect marriage between the specifications of a mid-tier loaf and the price of a budget product, making it a formidable disruptor. Looking back over the journey of those 6 loaves, if we were to place them all onto a dark investigation table under the harsh light of scrutiny, we would extract 3 paradigm-shifting rules that will alter the way we shop forever. First, there is massive good news. Major brands deceiving consumers over high fiber claims is absolutely not happening here. There is no scandal. All 9 loaves successfully passed the test, all proudly and legitimately achieving the high fiber standard. The law has done an excellent job of protecting this designation. Second, the most brutal truth is this: the shelf price is an almost entirely useless, broken compass if you intend to use it to detect and predict the amount of fiber inside. Look closely. 6.8 grams of fiber can be found at an incredibly cheap 9 pence, but can also be pushed up to 19 pence. 6.4 grams of fiber commands a steep 25 pence, while at the end of this investigation, you will see 7.9 grams of fiber also costing just 9 pence. Pricing is dictated by marketing costs, brand heritage, and packaging, not by the amount of wheat bran stuffed into the dough. And the third rule, once all the loaves have excellently crossed the 6-gram line, the real war to determine superiority lies in the secondary metrics. The salt that silently impacts your vitality, the protein that sustains your fullness, and the price you are forced to pay for every single slice. But the 3 most outstanding loaves we are about to honor have done far more than just scrape past the legal benchmark. They break away fiercely, and the absolute top spot calls out a highly unexpected name, the most spectacular upset in the entire survey. In third place, we award the best premium, high-fiber wholemeal loaf to Waitrose Wholemeal Farmhouse. It provides an impressive figure of 7.4 grams of fiber, accompanied by 9.8 grams of protein and 0.93 grams of salt, with a price landing at around 19 pence per 100 grams. This is a significant milestone. It is the first loaf on our list to break through powerfully and pierce the 7-gram fiber ceiling. Place it next to the 6.2 grams of M and S, and you will see this is no longer a discrepancy of minor decimal points. It is a meaningful difference that has a real physical impact in a segment where most products nervously cling to the 6 to 7 gram mark. Naturally, carrying the Waitrose name, its price is considerably higher than budget-owned labels. However, it is by no means a waste of money. It is thoroughly deserved for individuals who genuinely want to upgrade their fiber intake, who adore the soft, rustic, traditional farmhouse texture, and who are perfectly willing to pay extra for that premium culinary experience. Rising to second place, claiming the award for the best balance between fiber and economic value, Co-op Bakery Wholemeal Toastie. This loaf brings forth specifications that should make its rivals tremble. 7.7 grams of fiber, 10 grams of protein, and 0.88 grams of salt, all wrapped up with a brilliantly reasonable price tag of just about 11 pence per 100 grams. How was it able to majestically unseat Waitrose to take the runner-up spot? The answer lies in absolute optimization. It provides more fiber, a significantly softer price point, and its salt content is restrained to a slightly lower level. Co-op is a living testament, a perfect lesson demonstrating that to progress from the 6-gram markup to a towering peak of nearly 8 grams of fiber, you absolutely do not need to hunt down loaves stuffed with bizarre imported superseeds. Nor do you have to bitterly hand over a large sum of money for packaging bearing expensive health food labels at specialist stores. It is merely an unassuming wholemeal loaf from a convenience store, yet it carries the nutritional firepower of a champion. And the moment we have been eagerly anticipating has finally arrived. Standing alone in the #1 spot, exclusively claiming the award for the highest fiber loaf, delivering unbeatable core value, Aldi Village Bakery Wholemeal. According to all the rigorous comparative data, it provides the leading amount of fiber, crushing the entire list with a figure of 7.9 grams. Not only that, its protein level is highly competitive at 10.6 grams. Its salt content is strictly controlled at 0.87 grams, lower than many prestigious health-focused brands. And it boasts one of the lowest recorded prices in the entire market, just about 9 pence per 100 grams. Pause for a beat and confront this brutal and absurd truth of supermarket pricing. Aldi gives you 7.9 grams of fiber for a mere 9 pence. Meanwhile, a massive brand with a rich history gives you 6.4 grams of fiber, but demands you empty your pockets to the tune of 25 pence. Stating this does not mean we are declaring that the Aldi bread will definitively taste better, smell richer, or feel softer than the others. Flavor is a deeply personal experience and requires a blind taste test to truly evaluate. But we are clinging fiercely to our initial objective. If abundant dietary fiber is the core reason, the health imperative that makes you reach for a wholemeal loaf on the shelf, then spending a fortune on a glamorous premium brand absolutely does not buy you even a tenth of a gram more fiber. The choice that provides the ultimate, most abundant, most victorious amount of fiber in this grueling test does not wear the disguise of a product from a luxury organic boutique. It is simply, rustically, and authentically a budget wholemeal loaf sitting quietly on the shelf of a discount supermarket. To ensure you can turn this information into a weapon the next time you step into a supermarket, engrave this decision map into your mind. If you are a strict health disciplinarian, solely focused on consuming maximum fiber at all costs, aim straight for the Aldi Village Bakery with its towering 7.9 grams per 100 grams. If Aldi is not on your convenient commute, then the Co-op Wholemeal Toastie is an equally outstanding alternative, hitting 7.7 grams. If budget is not an issue and you crave a premium, fragrant farmhouse texture, treat yourself to the Waitrose Farmhouse, hitting 7.4 grams. And if you are looking for a reliable, budget-friendly option easily found at other major superstores to feed a whole family, Morrisons at 6.8 grams is a fantastic economical choice that will never let you down. Lock these 3 immutable golden rules into your memory before you drop any loaf into your trolley. Rule 1. Always check and look precisely for the word wholemeal printed on the label. British law strictly dictates that wholemeal bread must use 100% wholemeal flour without any blending whatsoever, whereas confusing terms like brown, malted, or wheat carry absolutely no equivalent legal weight and could easily be products stripped of their fiber. Rule 2. Always look for the fiber amount calculated per 100 grams on the back, and use the 6-gram figure as your standard benchmark to fairly assess if it is high fiber. Absolutely never allow your mind to be tricked by comparison gimmicks based on the number of slices, because slice sizes differ entirely from one brand to the next. Rule 3. Once the fiber content of the loaf has proudly surpassed the 6-gram mark, immediately shift your gaze downwards to check the salt content. The difference between 0.77 grams and 0.98 grams of salt per 100 grams might sound trivial, but when you multiply that by the amount of bread you consume over a month or a year, it amounts to a colossal intake of sodium that directly impacts your blood pressure and cardiovascular health. Returning to the question that opened this entire investigation, which wholemeal loaves are actually high in fiber? The most honest and reassuring answer is all 9 of them. That is an incredibly rare and positive truth we have uncovered today. The greatest lesson for consumers today is absolutely not a conspiracy theory claiming that supermarket bread is a spectacular scam. The reality completely contradicts the fear-mongering often found on social media. Wholemeal bread is one of those rare, respectable food categories where the legal designation and the actual nutritional data align remarkably and honestly. However, the massive difference, the abyss that divides these products, lies in the degree to which they excel and the true value of the money you are forced to part with. Adults in the UK are constantly and strongly advised by health organizations to consume around 30 grams of fiber a day to combat chronic diseases. And wholemeal bread remains one of the cheapest, easiest, and most sustainable vehicles to help you achieve that essential goal. Our final piece of advice and the deepest philosophy we want to impart to you: never obediently open your wallet to pay extra just because of a rustic color or a highly artistic premium design on a plastic wrapper. Bravely turn it over, use your rationale to seek out the fiber figure calculated per 100 grams, and let those cold mathematical numbers, not the multi-million-pound branding campaigns, tell you most honestly just how high in fiber that loaf truly is, and how genuinely good it is for your digestion. Share this video with your loved ones. Forge the habit of reading labels with a cool, calculating eye, and we will see you in the next thrilling, investigative episodes of Basket Verdict.